Hello book nerds, welcome to Bookshelf Bunny. I'm Kim and today we'll be organizing my main bookshelf. Alright guys, so I started off by taking all of the books off of this shelf and moving them into my spare room, which is just behind me there. It's my little office where all the magic happens. To recap a little bit from my last video, which you can find here, I decided to group like with like. So this is going to be my fantasy shelf, these three shelves that you see here. Now below them, sort of out of camera, which I'll show when I do a bookshelf tour, these are more historical, classic literature, followed by some Christian fiction and some Bible study guides, as well as some kids' books. So before I started putting books on the shelves, I actually had to move a lot of shelf ornaments. I have a lot of little knickknacks and odds and ends that I like to decorate my shelves with, as I'm sure most of you do. So across the top there, you'll see those photographs of miscellaneous celebrities from local comic expos. There are some little Sailor Moon figurines. I absolutely adore Sailor Moon, it's crazy. I love her so much. And I wasn't sure where I was going to keep those. And they're large, and the bases on some of those models are kind of awkward, they're quite round. So I figured that I could space them up there. And I think for the most part it works. I couldn't fit a couple figures. As you can see on the top shelf there, you've got a tuxedo mask and a chibi Usa. I think one of the most challenging things about collecting fantasy novels is that a lot of them come in big epic series. Like there's 8 or 10 or 12 books in a series, and it's just a lot. So it's hard to find a room for them. Right now I am stacking in that corner there the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind, and this is the perfect example of a saga. There are quite a few novels in this series. Now it's time to find a home for the Game of Thrones series. I actually just finished binge watching this on Crave. We had a free trial. Oh my god, you guys, such a good show. You'll also notice that I don't really collect books based on any particular book size or style. I kind of have a mix of hardcover and paperback. Some paperbacks are large, some are mass market. I have a habit of just sort of grabbing the books for the story, and so my collection tends to be all topsy-turvy, not necessarily uniform. Who knows, maybe one of these days when I have $1,000 million, I'll go back and purchase all hardcover to make my collection pretty. But in the meantime, I'm more interested in finishing the series than I am collecting all pretty books. This series, the Green Rider series, is another example of a collection that's topsy-turvy. The very first book I got when I was actually a teenager, and it's just a small mass market paperback. And it wasn't until years later that I actually realized there was more to the series and started collecting them. But as you can see, some are small and some are large, and one's a ginormous hardcover. I've actually got to correct myself a little bit here. It's not just fantasy, I also have a spattering of sci-fi in my collection, and I just decided that they belong on the fantasy shelf because sci-fi and fantasy sort of tend to go hand in hand. You also may have noticed there's a little happy face flower coffee mug there. That actually holds the battery pack for my string of lights. I don't feel comfortable just letting the battery sit on the shelf in the event of battery leakage or, doom and gloom, and if they were to explode. I don't know. So I keep them in a little mug or a glass in order to offer that extra little bit of protection to my precious, precious books. All right, so books successfully placed. Now we move on to ornaments. So I talked a little bit already about my Sailor Moon ornaments, but I also have a collection of little fairy dudes and some knights on horseback and a pretty epic little dragon. So I really like to deck out my shelves with these guys. And that pretty well brings us to an end. I will do another video surrounding bookshelf organization. There's a little app that I want to start using to record my collection on. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Until then, happy reading!